It was with a bitter taste in my mouth that I first sat in the classrooms of Solebury. I did not know my peers, and I had no interest in meeting my teachers. It was not my old school. It was smaller, much smaller. You called your teachers by their first names, and everybody hugged each other. I looked around myself, and what I saw surprised me. It was different. I told myself I would have to be very cautious dealing with this strange little place. It was on a sunny September morning that I remember one of my first interactions with Ian Trimmer. I did not know much of him other than the fact that we sat close to each other in John Petito's World History 9 class. Ian was a loud kid who liked to run everywhere and always had a mischievous smile on his face. I, on the other hand, was rather quiet in comparison and was quite content to walk to get to the places I was going. And on that sunny September morning, we were both headed toward John's World History class. Ian sprinted to the door to the classroom as we both arrived and quickly chose a seat to himself, while I made the tragic mistake of sitting next to him. As I took my seat and unpacked my things, I looked up to see him smiling quietly at me with a grin. I smiled back the best that I could and took out my homework from the night before. When I looked at Ian next, he was still grinning, but instead now he was staring intently at my freshly completed homework. I was just beginning to question my choice in seating when Ian's arm shot out in a blur, quickly grabbing the homework in front of me, crumpling my paper into a ball in his hands before shoving the whole mess into his mouth. Ian Trimmer ate my homework. I was in awe. And I'm also a little bit impressed at the same time. As he worked his way through the gristle of the printer paper, he flashed me his signature smile, and there was nothing I could do but respond with a smile of my own. I contemplated as to how to tell my teacher John that Ian Trimmer literally ate my homework. I ended up keeping quiet rather than bring the whole mess to attention. I went home with an incomplete homework assignment that day, but I also went home with a better understanding of the school I would spend my next 4 years in. That would not be the last time that Ian attempted to eat some of my schoolwork, but it would be the last time I was surprised by it. At Solebury, the harsh truth is that our teachers share the same affinity for the bizarre as the students. For 3 of my years at Solebury, Del Shirk was my teacher, advisor, and one of my closest friends. I could tell him just about anything, and he would always have a response. He preferred to address me by his nickname for me, Jack Slack, who could eat no crack. Del loved to tend to his vast collection of plants almost as much as he loved the art and practice of sarcasm. I, on the other hand, knew very little about sarcasm when I first came to the school, so it was a great shock to me when I asked him, "Del, have you ever been married before?" And Del responded with, "Yes, I had a wife, but I killed her." For the first couple months of my high school career, I was convinced that my English teacher was a murderer. Much has changed in our 4 years here. The small school has gained its fair share of students along the way and has lost its fair share. We have grown as a grade. Some of us are painters and others are dancers. Our grade contains master photographers and singers, but also horse riders and bakers. Some have traveled around the world and others have done great work with local charities. We have achieved great things and we will go on to achieve better. But throughout all my years here, the one thing that has remained constant is the ability to be just a little bit different. Be that in dressing up as Hunter S. Thompson for Halloween, or dressing up in drag for Coffee House. I have seen Mike Myers wear shorts and cut-off sleeves in knee-deep snow, and I have also seen him form a real-life economic syndicate based off the monopolization of the sheep trade within the context of a board game called Settlers of Catan. He appropriately dubbed this the Shempire. Some of us have performed Baby Got Back in front of the school, while others of us have sung Eminem songs for Friday stand-up. There has been a life-size cardboard cutout of our headmaster and a dislocated pinky finger from an over-intense game of Frisbee. I've always thought that Solebury was a weird place, and that is something to celebrate. Solebury School will always stay with me as a strange little place comprised of familiar faces and friendly smiles. A place where you can begin the day sad and head home laughing. Teenagers live their lives and do stupid things. They turn in their papers late and talk about how tired they've become. They say to their friends that they hate school and just want it to be summer, but then they go home, become aware of a silent fear for the next year. They realize they might never see some of the friends they have again, and this scares them. It makes them sad, and it makes them savor their mundane days just a little bit more. They won't be able to complain about them next year. This strange little school filled with its strange little occupants proved to be more endearing of a home than a teenager could have ever hoped for. I've loved this place, and it was with a bittersweet taste in my mouth that I will leave it. I'm happy to call myself a member of the Solebury School class of 2014. We've had a pretty good run, and there's much to look forward to. Thank you.